Hello, everybody. Good Thursday morning to everybody, and welcome to this SAP Finug webinar together with Neomore. We have a very interesting AI topic today. Let's wait a couple of seconds that all the people from the waiting room are in on this live session. So let's give it a couple of seconds more. And just a notion, the recording is already on. Now it looks like most of the attendees are already in, so once more, let's begin. So hello, everybody. My name is Aleksi Rustolo-Karhu. I work as an executive director at SAP Finug. And today's webinar is together with Neomore on AI Made Simple. And before we jump into today's agenda, I'd like to briefly go through some of the practicalities on this webinar and also share upcoming Finug events to you. So all you attendees are muted, but feel free to ask questions and comments with the Q&A on your Zoom toolbar. We will make sure that there is a little bit time at the end of the webinar to go through with your questions and comments. And also you will receive the presentation materials in PDF form after the webinar, together with the recording. I will send the feedback message to you, hopefully already during this week. Those were the basics of the webinars on the practical side. Let's then take a look at the upcoming events, and especially one event, which is of course the autumn seminar, the seminar, the biggest Finug event of the year, and maybe the biggest SAP event in Finland. And this year I just got the confirmation that we will have the biggest exhibition, partner exhibition ever. So a lot of SAP knowledge and skills are presented at the event. There you can see a couple of our keynotes from SAP side, and also some external interesting external keynote. Mona Moisala also will be joining us on the afternoon. Hope to see you all there. We're now selling tickets, and I can see that there is a lot of people and interest also this year, and we are going to have a great seminar. Of course, that's not all, and you can follow our newsletters and our webpage to see what's also upcoming after autumn seminar, and there will be more published soon on our calendar. This is not all of our events for the Q4. There will be more. All right. I think that's all on Finug side, the introductions, and then we can go from buzzwords to business impact with Phani Kumar Vankadari from Neomore Consulting. He will be our expert of today on this topic. And now I will stop my sharing and like this, and feel free to take over the presentation, Phani.
Just a moment. I will share my screen. And I am trying to find the share button. Here it is. Welcome, everyone. Before we dive into agenda, I'll give you a quick introduction. Hope you can see my presentation. The right
Yes,
screen.
we can see it, yes.
Yes. And let me give you an introduction. My name is Phani. It's spelled as Phani. It's funny that it is funny. I respond to funny too. I work as a SAP technical consultant right now with Neomore, and I have almost 2 decades of experience in all the SAP technologies, almost. I hope this session will leave you 1 hour from now more interested about SAP and its AI toolbox. And I hope I'll be successful in raising the curiosity answering some questions, maybe making a little less confused what you are right now about AI on SAP. Having said that, let's dive into the agenda. We are officially kicked off, by the way. And we are going to break down some buzzwords to make it simple and see how they are and actually if they turn into real business value. Then I'll be showing you or walking you through a couple of demos, one being Joule on SAP Cloud, how it is out of the box product, how it is there. And second one, a custom developed Joule, which I personally have developed over on-prem as a backend. After these, I will walk you through the pieces behind these developments or the architectural diagrams. They are scary, but I'll try to walk you through few components where AI is involved. And in the last segment, key takeaways, we will try to discuss if possible. Otherwise, we'll try to go through what are the possible kinds of solutions we build and what are the pitfalls we have to avoid and what are the tools we have in hand to build or innovate as AI enabled solutions. Having said that, let's get into the buzzwords. You know, like most great inventions, AI also takes inspiration from nature, especially how our brains work. Think of it this way. Smart people, a bunch of smart people built computer systems that can spot patterns and make predictions, a bit like how we learn and decide things. These are called neural networks. And they also started training these systems and to learn them from data and keep on improving. That is what machine learning is called. And when you take the idea further and join this machine learning with these brain-like networks, that's called deep learning. And finally, when we teach computers how to think and act like humans, that's called artificial intelligence. We are not stopping there as humans. We also started teaching our language to the computers and trained it and made the computers understand our language and taught it how we speak, how we write and express ourselves. This is called natural language processing, NLP. And using NLP, a bunch of researchers, intelligent folks, built LLMs, large language models, which are trained on humongous amount of text over the internet and everywhere, wherever you find, so that it generates human-like answers and also think like humans. And to interact with this system, unlike traditional systems where you need to program code, here natural language is enough. But we call the string or the command you give, it's not command, it's the text you give, is called a prompt. And a prompt cannot be complete without the background information. So the background information is called context. And now, if you see, the AI has evolved from pattern recognizing system to generating and explaining stuff for us. So this generating text and components for us is generative AI. It not only generates text, but also multimedia content, starting from images, videos, and gaming 3D models. And this is done using a multimodal AIs. And finally, when you understand this model is actually the brain of the system. It is complicated. It has layers. And also when we'll discuss about models in detail, but these have models, where are they available? Are there any stores? Are there any place to go? Is there a website to download? In SAP BTP landscape, there are models. Let me give an analogy. If you find an intelligent person, you hire him, you bring them into company, and you teach all the data information about your company and make him wise or an expert. He's intelligent, but he doesn't has any idea about your company's data. If you apply this analogy to a model which is trained by everything in the world, it is intelligent. Those models are called foundation models. When you bring them to your company and you train with your data, it will be able to help you in your perspective, in your company's perspective. So training them is the process which we do. And how does we train it? Who will train it? There is a new role, what we see these days. Those are called machine learning engineers, who will get model based on your requirements, train them, and make it ready for you. We'll discuss that in detail, where and how, what are the places we do in SAP BTP. And once we train the model, it answers questions. But not only it has to look up over internet and knowledge, but also it looks into your company's repository and answers it. This concept is retrieval augmented generation, where the question is not only answered by its general knowledge, but also your company specific knowledge. That is RAG. SAP built one product for it called document grounding. We'll talk about it too. And the last one here is knowledge graph. Knowledge graph is where we take the information. We have information everywhere, maybe in repositories of documents and in tables. But imagine if we build a system where entities they're called entities, and the technical term is facts. The facts in the whole bigger information are taken out and linked and kept somewhere for future understanding. So if we take customers, they are linked to orders, and orders are linked to finance documents, that way. So these knowledge graph helps us to build semantic information for a model. If you ask a question, and that question could be answered when the model or the brain model is nothing but, you could imagine, or as a GPT. It could find things in knowledge graph and help you with better context. Having said that, let's move into the practical stuff. Demo. Let me open. Okay. I think I have to take out the laser pointer to. Yes. S4 Cloud is, Joule, we are going to talk, is people say, or in documentation it says it is an part of S4 Cloud, but actually it is an add-on component for S4 Cloud. It doesn't come out of the box. This is a general S4 Cloud public edition's main page. In here, once we configure it on BTP and S4 Cloud using Workzone standard edition, we will be able to find a Joule icon here. On clicking it, it loads. Let me tell you a fact. Joule is not a genie. It doesn't say your wish is my command, it is done, consider it done. It isn't. It is like a friend or a guide, an intelligent friend who helps us every time we are stuck at somewhere. A new intern who excitedly helps understand things and thinks along and helps you. You can think that way. Suppose there is show me Finnish customers. SAP, according to documentation, there are 4 kinds of capabilities of Joule: 1, informational, navigational, transactional, and analytical. It shows the necessary information here, and it navigates to the corresponding app, which you could see. And transactional, suppose, let me find open sales orders. Let me give you one more fact. As you could see here, everything looks fine, cool. But if I ask one wrong question, it says, I don't know, check documentation. You might have experienced with that, some of you. If we find this, I like 15. Let's create a, come on, a delivery for sales order 15. I believe we all expect that it getting created, but it guides me to the app where it is actually created. So it is a guide for me, not a servant for me. If we see that way, we could use this better. But does all my English and all my terms work? The answer is no, because I would like to show you this link. There is a documentation here. We could find for what business objects, what fields would work in Joule, and what kinds of questions or prompts you can give, or sample requests you could give. So based on like, if I could see sales order, which I've just tried, I went through this. So in here regarding delivery, yes, I would like to create a delivery for sales order. This worked. This way, if we are trying to understand or explore Joule, this could be the first place to come, understand which business area you are working on, and try to create. Oh, I'll close my video, and try to do the necessary stuff. And I'll move on. Having said that, let's move on to the other side of demo, which is I've added this link in the presentation so that you can go and explore when you're trying to do Joule. What if I want an on-premise Joule? Yes, you could build it, but not as an extensive product-like solution, but as a small product or a small solution. How it is like, even though SAP, if you remember the big the olden days, even though we have lots of transactions, we customize our own reports, our own T codes for our purposes. Similarly, if there is an existing ALV report which you want to talk to or explore it in a chat based way, then you could convert that as a chatbot or a Joule skill. We'll come to that Joule skill too. If I miss something, you could we could rediscuss in Q&A. In here, get me all functional locations. When I ask this, what happens here? I'm trying to introduce few terms. This Joule calls an action, actually a skill. A skill calls an action. Action is something that is used, that is created based on an API call. This actually calls an API call that gets the list of functional locations. So now I like this name somehow. Show me the equipments related to location. Let's see if it takes my short forms. So it is kind of technically you could imagine as a dynamic UI creator with specific limited amount of UI. So now I have an equipment. I want to see if there are any maintenance notifications associated. Give me all maintenance notifications associated with equipment. Let's see. And now this calls a Joule skill. A Joule skill might call, action. Action will call API. So this way, you could configure or develop smaller Joule skills for your needs. And these could be, and next question is, can we integrate this with SAP Work Zone? Yes, for that you need another tool called Agent Builder, which is not for general availability for us partners. It might come in Q4, which might be this Christmas. Having said that, next point is let me understand what's inside the architecture, what's under the hood, which is the key interest. First, let's see the standard solution. If you hear SAP Business AI, this is the add-on component or add-on product I was talking about, two standard SAP cloud native products. Highlight this, only cloud native, not on-premise. In this case, S4 Cloud Public Cloud, S4 Cloud Public Cloud Edition, you could see if AI relies completely on data. If you don't have data, you can't build AI solutions. And for this, in SAP world or any enterprise world, you have lots of data sources. You can pick any of these. AI Foundation is the place, is the suitcase where we find tools to build AI components, AI solutions, or solution components sometimes. So to build this, AI Foundation is compatible with these following data sources, but our point of discussion for today is AI Foundation. And what are these agents? Agents are goal-oriented components where if you give a goal, it will figure out what steps to do and does each of them. And what is the brain behind that? Then a model, a LLM, which is deployed in AI Foundation, will do that for us. This is an out-of-the-box solution, which SAP gives us for S4 Cloud. Having said that, but our interest is not only standard. What if we want to do on-premise? The only thing we could do is take this top part off and build our own smaller components, smaller agents to do the job, which adds value to our company's strategies. Having said that, next slide. Yes. If we blow up that central part of AI Foundation, we have these components. The first one being, we have to say unified AI portal. This is, we could say it is BTP for now, but I see or I anticipate another portal, maybe full-fledged portal for only AI related. But for now, let's consider BTP as the central portal that connects to every product of SAP which you have subscribed on cloud and on-prem too. And we'll move from right to left. First, let's discuss the smallest part, document AI. We'll move from right to left. If you have a requirement of finding the data and handle the files and extract the information and validate it, clean if necessary, and post it to the SAP on-prem or cloud, it doesn't matter. Then document AI is your go-to place. Let me tell you, document AI is not a complete solution or a software or an application. It is a component or library or a framework component which you could include in your existing solutions to do it. Let me quote an example. This here is the solution, one of the use case, where we get an email, one program, automation in specific, reads the attachment of purchase order, then extracts information from it and creates a sales order. Fair enough, straight enough. In here, there is only one AI component involved, which is extracting information from PDF into JSON or into a program, is what AI does here. But rest all components is non-AI, I could say. This is an automation solution. And here we include AI components. So all the document related solutions, maybe extraction. There is one more service. This is a standard service. Another service called a translation hub. For all the translation tasks, we use that. We just did document A. Going on to the generative AI hub, the key point of discussion. The Gen AI hub as this, don't get, I get what do you call overwhelmed with when I see the larger solution diagrams like this. I'll make it simpler. This is a solution of a CAP application or cloud-based application where user asks a question, it goes to the backend or third party and gets the output, gives to the user. Simple, understood. What if there is a requirement in middle of the application? There should be a suggestion or a prediction. It needs to interact with AI. Then we will bring this component, generative AI hub. As said, it has multiple components. Right now, these two, AI Core and AI Launchpad, we already have discussed. AI Core that runs and manages AI models, not only a repository. And AI Launchpad is the control center where we can see all the models, keep track of them, decide how they are used. Or not only the models, as I'll try to extend the conversation which we have started. You remember we talk about machine learning engineers. You have a problem which AI could solve. And this is a general thought, and you have a strong hypothesis. I need to predict something, but I strongly believe I need to predict my sales. I strongly believe seasons or temperature might affect the sales. This is a valid hypothesis. So you get all the sales data and weather data for the past 2 years and asks AI to predict. This is a simple use case. How does we do? An ML engineer comes, he listens to your requirement, he sees your data, and based on our requirement, he might select an algorithm and a model, and model has a set of parameters. I know for most of us, this is new. I learned recently too. Not recently, sometime. There is a model, and parameters of the model are called weights. For your problem or to solve your problem or company's problem, the ML engineer is responsible to try multiple models with multiple weights associated and identify the best model and identify the best brain and best environment for it, which means best model and best weights. To do that, he needs to check out the models and write code if needed and try and train it. Training is a process. He trains it. To do this, AI Launchpad has options. I would like to showcase how it looks. Let's go there. You could see in AI Launchpad, you have generative AI hub. If ML guy is doing, ML guy or girl, ML consultant is doing, this is the place where he can find. But first thing, he has to identify the model. There is a buffet of models for us to check. for requirements, based on requirements and products and providers, he could select one of these model and train it for your data. Another example where I find difficult to imagine was by checking the closed circuit camera data, one can identify the shopping patterns, which areas are not covered. So in those cases, you need a model and a guy to train it. Having said that, I will get back to that. And let me come back to you the next part. You have a smaller box or called orchestration. I'll only highlight a couple of things here. Very cool things. Everything in this world right now is secured infrastructurally. If you say something is not secured, it is sometimes human. Humans make it less secured. So, for example, sharing inappropriate messages with models might make them bad. Sharing sensitive data to the models is a big problem. We heard of examples, people uploading their source codes to GPT. So in order to avoid these, we have an out-of-box component like data masking and IO filtering. IO filtering is where if you want to avoid hate language, if you want to put policies on the users without even telling them or training them, keeping guardrails, this will be helpful. Example, if you and let me start from here. All the prompts you use in your programs could be registered here so that you can organize them, manage them, and fix if needed directly at a single place. And prompt, in order to have the prompt in a structured way, you have a templating, which is like a wizard feature. You could template your prompt. And for filtering the inputs, you could avoid these kind of fields. And also data masking. If you want to configure an email to a person, you don't need to, if you ask like draft an email, the prompt goes like draft an email to this person saying that these components are broken. So in that place, you don't need to send the email, but even accidentally, if you send a data masking will mask the email ID before it reaches the model. So using these components, you could build a foolproof brain or a model and eventually a system for your AI use case. Having said that, I think we covered them. Let's move to the next part. We were right now, we were at the second part, Genio AI Hub. Now let's move to the third part, Joule agents. Joule agents, if you see this architecture, Joule Studio is not a standalone component or solution or a library. It is part of a build. And Joule Studio is used. What do we do with Joule Studio? Either we build Joule skills or Joule agents. That either creates context, that gets data, that gets context from knowledge graphs, that gets information from grounding. Yes, I almost forgot. There is this grounding part of AI core. If a model asks a question, if you ask a question to the model, it could check not only answer it based on its conscience or knowledge, but also checks your proprietary information linked to the model and gives you the accurate information so that it is not hallucinating and telling you that, yeah, this is right because you thought it or I said it. So that way we could increase the accuracy too. And in Joule Studio, you could call any service from build and unable to develop agents or skills using the components it could connect. We'll discuss in detail in the next slide. This is just to explain, this is a common work zone solution diagram, but in here, it is nothing related to our solution, but you could still build as a component called Joule Studio while building something, deploying something to work zone or showing some. Work zone is a Fiori Launchpad, a fully loaded Fiori Launchpad. You could use Joule Studio to connect to the AI components, not only AI components, but other components too. Having said that, what is a Joule skill? What is an AI agent? Joule skill is a focused, task-focused capability. Think of it like a very specific building block that handles a single type of request, like retrieving top 10 vendors from with certain invoice value, or getting list of customers related to one country. What I have showcased in custom on-prem was a Joule skill. But when it comes to an agent, it might read your prompt, understands the intent, and uses multiple Joule skills, like getting the invoice status or checking some system, trigger a workflow, coordinated by agent logic. And who drives this is actually differentiates them. The one that drives is the LLM, the brain. User gives the input, agent along with LLM breaks down the goals and steps, and LLM also reason this and execute the steps and find whether the output is as it is expected or not. But how does it remembers the context, like I need, where am I and how it is progressing? It uses memory. In each step, it might need to reach a database, call other applications, call internet, or call other agents too. And finally, when the LLM feels that the question is answered, it will give back as an output to the user. This could be from a chatbot, this could be from a program, this could be from an automation. Like this is the Joule Studio's inside block diagram, we could say. What are we building using Joule Studio? A Joule skill or an AI agent? Mostly AI agents are driven by AI Core's models hosted in AI Core. So this way, there are two paths. If you are building Joule skill that runs on Joule runtime, of course, inside for every kind of Joule skill, if it is contacting or calling an API, it uses actions. If it is triggering a workflow or an automation, it uses build process automation component of build. If it is taking some decisions, it might use my inbox, which is new name is human in the loop. And if it is dealing with reading files or reading documents, it uses the document tool. If it wants to use math operations, it uses calculator. These are kind of options in build process automation. And if it wants to talk to model, you can select the model and calling AI core. These are like steps in automation. You could, or steps in Joule, inside Joule skills, like a flowchart. These are SAP strategy is to make no code, low code kind of development environments. Having said that, now we understood we could process the documents using document AI. We could build AI brains and configure them and train them using Gen AI Hub. We could build skills for chatbots, and also if someone else, like if in Azure, they have similar to AI Core, Azure has Azure AI Foundry. Inside that, you can build agents. If an Azure agent wants to call a skill in Joule or a API in SAP, Joule Studio, not build is coming up with another new component along with Joule Studio called MCP. So MCP is hooked to APIs. Then Other agents can call SAP agent or call MCP to textually call APIs and get the data. Previously, we can discuss, that's a point for another day. Having explained the tools and components, let's move what could we do with these tools and how to do. Actually, this is the key point I wanted to highlight. You cannot make every application as an AI application. I could say if you take a problem, the solution is in 3 levels these days. One is using a program or using an application or a form sometimes. The second one is using an automation, which is a set of tasks chained together. In between, humans can decide on some components. So if you are building a program or an automation, you don't need AI. Like if you engineer your problem correctly, AI comes in only few components, not in every component. A classic example is there is no need to build an AI chatbot that calculates the interest, however complicated it is. There are math formulas, you can program it. You don't need an AI for that. Other examples are like rate comparison, reorder of the stocks, PO routing, threshold checks of health of a system or health of a process, and date comparisons. How much close is the service ticket coming closer to the end or deadline or not, and sending email notifications. There is no AI needed, but if there is data involved, if there is additional skill like extracting information from PDF or screening the keywords from a big pool of CVs, and by checking the history data and predict trends or forecast demand and forecast breakdown event in a manufacturing plant based on the patterns of IoT data previously how it worked. Yes, mostly if data is involved, AI adds value. Having said that, what are the common pitfalls? Like you might see the coolest of the cool demos out there on internet, Instagram. But if they are not solving a business level problems, that should be taken as an entertainment, not as a use case. If it is, that explains these two parts. Then if people are not ready for change, I mean, not ready for a change in process, not ready for change in their levels, or I could say it's a process, then AI doesn't help. And having weak rules and policies, like if you are not taking care of the data that is fed to the model, then there is a problem we need to address. If you own a use case, if you made a AI solution and you are not measuring the metrics, let me quote an example. After implementing a chatbot, how much time or money or space we have saved? If no one is calculating that, because these are new solutions, sometimes we might need to figure out how to measure things using AI solutions, then it might not help us having that. And if you have bad, I want to highlight, last year Gartner released a article saying by 2026 mid, 70 to 60, around 60 to 70% of AI use cases will be abandoned just because they have a wrong or bad data. So data and a hypothesis. You have lots of data, but you have an idea or a hypothesis like this data might be involved in predicting something, and it has to be true, not random. So if you have a right thoughts and right process and right measurement or metrics, then AI use case or AI solutions might work or will work. Moving on, the first question I asked is like, what kind of, we are in the last segment, I forgot to highlight that. What kind of AI applications can we build? On the left side, you can see these style. It could be processing information, like summarizing, translating, extracting text from images, extracting context from images, like how many people are there in this picture, so that you can predict at what time what people are there in which place, just by check. And content creation is the whole YouTube industry runs around this. Like we can build blogs, we can build emails, or so whole CRM system runs on content creation these days. And coming back to the third one, which is most popular, conversational interactions, chatbots, virtual assistants. Yes, if they are solving your problems, yes, go for it. And fourth one, decision making support, all predictive analytics, forecasting equipment, and helping us with information for decision making are the solutions we could build using AI. And fourth one, coding assistants. There are numerous: Copilot, Windsurf, Joule. There is Joule for developers, Firebase Studio, Lovable.dev. These tools are AI tools, help us in building solutions. I couldn't say within no time. Last week there is a GitHub. Apparently there is a Microsoft released a GitHub repository called a spec kit, where you give a specification, it creates all the documentations for you, and using Copilot you could create each program using AI. So it is structured and organized too. And agentic workflows, we spoke about agents, like it picks a task, picks a goal, breaks down into tasks, and gets each thing done, and confirms if the output is up to the mark of user's expectation, and gives. You can build these using standard tools like these, and in environments on the right side, these. In build apps, you can build an automation that not only takes a document and cross references with RAG, but also checks the asks some model what will be the, and it predicts something and gives in a Joule. So in here, multiple components which are listed here are present. If it is confusing, one has to think calmly and try to use each tool and build use cases. And having said that, I think, yes, we are out of time. Yeah, sorry. Once we do all this, these are the business outcomes we are expecting, or we could expect. It might be operational efficiency, enhanced decision making, or improved customer experience, innovation. Yes, we never know that some other process in some other business might help us, and AI will be making that, expediting that thought process faster. And new business model, lots of digital products outside has been enabled and created by AI. And strategic advantage, yes, if you are predicting something earlier than your competitors, yes, you have that. ROI, if you do things right, ROI is the basic first outcome we get. Yes, having said that, yeah, we have 10 minutes. I'm open for questions. Hope I didn't make you more confused. My intent was to showcase all the components of AI Toolbox and their significance so that you could explore and build solutions. The floor is open. Alexei, you can help.
Yes, thank you very much, Phani. There's a lot of information on AI, also very technical one, at least in my perspective. Very interesting to see those demos.
Okay.
There are one question, and feel free to ask or comment if more, and use the Q&A. This is one. If you are new to the Joule or Yole and the Joule Studio, can you give us any references how to start to configure one?
Yes, sure. Let me take you to the browser. If you go to sap.com, everyone knows about Discovery Center/Disco. In here, there are missions. Generally, we read about the architecture, take screenshots and present. But if you search for Joule here, there are missions. In missions, you can find Activate Joule with S4 Cloud Public Edition, where you can find a step-by-step mission to include Joule in your system. Yes.
Yes.
Not only this, but also to configure Joule Studio also. If you are new, if you are trying to explore how it is, I think set up Joule Studio. I think that is also there somewhere here. Yeah. This and this, these two are needed to activate Joule. And Joule Studio, I believe somewhere. Yeah, set up Joule Studio. It is an enterprise account. Yep.
Yeah. Thank you very much for that information. Hopefully it answers. There are some couple new questions coming in. So could you say how we can use this with the older ECC SAP systems?
Yes, if you have a use case, like you need to have multiple interactions with old SAP, it could be API calls or OData calls, or it could be RFC calls. In one moment, I will try to take you to the correct slide. In Joule Studio. Yes, in here, I think next one, not this. Yes, next one. In here, in Joule Studio, if you want to call APIs or RFCs, you can use actions. And once you create actions, you can create a Joule skill that calls. Joule skill is like a function module that gets called from a text. If you ask that, give me functional locations like how you have seen, that text or similar synonymous text will be mapped to a Joule skill. And inside a Joule skill will be in the form of a flowchart. And in one of the component, we will call action that calls the API or an RFC. So it is a detailed job to build brick by brick, but not much of the coding is involved. It is drag and drop. So it makes things faster, but that doesn't stop it making it easier. It is detailed or more steps are involved. Every step or every API call will be converted to an action and configure Joule skills and try with the correct texts. And one quick tip could be when you build a Joule skill in HANA Cloud, if I create a new, you can guide users to use these skills based on roles. If you go to a new conversation, you get the capsules here that what could you do based on your roles. Yes, like this. You can give access to these are nothing but prompts packaged in the form of capsules. You could do this and make user guided for your specific, for the end user specific tasks which are assigned to his business role. Hope that is answered.
Thank you very much. There's also maybe a question related to these first questions. What are required the first steps to adopt Joule for S/4HANA on premises as SAP environment?
standard product like this is not there. SAP recommends to go to use S4 Cloud. So we are building how we built custom reports previously. We build custom reports on a chat box or a chat for a chatbot here. And if the question is what we need to do, we need to implement these components, which not only Joule Studio, all the AI framework, sorry, AI Foundation, I mean, all the components of AI Foundation, this generative AI hub. Yes, everything in AI Foundation you need to implement, configure, or build and do the necessary steps. You will use these programmatical components or libraries to build your own chatbot.
Thank you. There's a little bit time for this one final question or personal question, also a comment. Thank you for the interesting session. And how long do you predict it will take until SAP will develop an AI native ERP solution that doesn't need human in the loop, that can think and execute? What's your personal opinion on this one?
SAP says it already have achieved, but it has its own flaws. But it is, I am positive. Every quarter we see lots of improvements. Right now, SAP says that it has developed maybe 1600 out of the box Joule skills, which means it could do 1600 tasks when and multiple agents based on business area. But I feel the problem is not SAP giving everything. SAP has given the out-of-box software from ages, but as users, as business owners, we have to customize it according to our requirements. How we fine tune or how we alter or modify or make this AI solution out of the box one configured for us is what that matters, and how to do that easily. SAP never has given an out-of-box software, even though it is given. Every customer of ours will fine-tune it for themselves or will customize it. So does the AI solution. So it's a progressive thing, I said.
Thank you. And also, yeah, thank you for the interesting presentation, and also thank you for the audience for the interesting questions. And we are running out of time soon, so it's been a pleasure, Phani. Thank you for the interesting presentation, and we will share these slides and recording to you, all the attendees, afterwards. And do you want to say any final remarks?
Yes, like if you feel like discussing more and more concepts on AI, you could reach our in the presentation in the last day. There is contact information for Neomore. If you want to co-create, think about it. We are here to help you if needed.
Yes, so feel free to contact them on the topic to ask more. And so it's 10 a.m. on the morning. Let's continue the workday. Thank you very much, Phani, and thank you everybody on the line.
Okay.
See you next time. Take care, everybody.
Thank you. Have a lovely autumn.